Okay guys, so this is just a video reviewing multiplying decimals and dividing decimals. So we're going to do multiplying decimals first. So when you're doing this, it's really important to remember that you do not have to line up the decimals. Instead, you line up the last digit in each of the factors. So if we're doing 3 and 24 hundredths times 2 and 5 tenths, we're going to line up the 5 and the 4, even though that's not the same place. So I'm going to pretend I'm doing like 324 times 25. Okay, so again, the decimals do not line up, the last numbers line up. Then I'm going to multiply like normal. So I start in my ones place, I'm going to multiply the digit in the ones place times all the numbers across the top. So I'm going to start with 5 times 4, which is 20. You put down the digit that's in the ones, and you carry the 10. So put down the 0, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Then you have to add in the digit that you carried. So 10 plus 2 is 12. And it's a really good habit to cross out the number once you add it, so that you don't accidentally add it again in another problem. And then our last one, 5 times 3 is 15, plus the 1 is 16. Okay? And then, when we move over to our tens place, which isn't really the tens place, but we're going to pretend it is, we need to add our placeholder 0, because 10 has 1 0. If we were to be moving over to the hundreds place, we would add 2 zeros, because 100 has 2 zeros. And then we're going to multiply the digit that's there times all the digits across the top. So we're going to go from 2 to 4, 2 to 2, and then 2 to 3. So 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. And then 2 times 3 is 6. So we've got 2 numbers now. And we're going to add those 2 numbers together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 2 is 10, carry the 1. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 1 is 11, carry the 1. 6 plus 1 plus 1 is 8. Now we're not done, because 8,100 would not make sense for this answer. So we need to count the number of places that are after the decimal. So this number has 2, and this number has 1, so that's a total of 3 spaces. So I'm going to move my decimal in 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So my answer to this problem is 8 and 1/10. You can leave the zeros there, or you can take them out. It doesn't really matter. It's the same number. Now, an important part of this is rounding to check. So I'm going to take 3 and 24 hundredths and round it to the nearest whole, which would be 3. And then I'm going to do multiplication, since that's what I'm originally doing. And then 2 and 5 tenths rounded to the nearest whole is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 is pretty close to 8, so my check is probably good. So there is multiplying decimals. Now let's do a quick review of dividing decimals. So I'm going to turn my board this way so I have more room. Let's say I'm doing 3 and 26 hundredths divided by 5. Okay. My first step, I need to put my plates above each of my digits and slide my decimals straight up. Okay, and I put my plates there so I can keep everything lined up and make sure I have the right amount of digits. Then I'm going to go through my steps and say, how many times can 5 go into 3? Well, it can't. So I'm going to put an X, or I'm going to put a 0 there. Either one is fine. But I need to fill that plate so I don't accidentally put another number there. So 5 can't go into 3, so 5 can go into 32 6 times. So I'm going to put a 6 at the top. 6 times 5 is 30. So 32 minus 30 is 2. Then I can bring down my 6 and repeat my steps. 5 can go into 26 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. 26 minus 25 is 1. Now normally, if these were whole numbers, that would be our remainder. But we can't have a remainder when we're doing decimals. So I'm going to add a 0 to my dividend, which is the number that's on the inside, so that I have another digit to bring down. So whenever I add a 0, I also need to add a plate above it, because there's going to be another digit in my quotient, which is the answer. So I'm going to bring down that 0. And now I'm going to repeat my steps. How many times can 5 go into 10? 5 can go into 10 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. And then 10 minus 10 is 0. So the answer to 3 and 26 hundredths divided by 5 is 652 thousandths.